Welcome back to HISD Unscripted. Today we're diving into a big topic that's creating a lot of conversation across the state, Texas's new law banning cell phone use in public schools for students. Joining me today is our district superintendent, Dr. Carter, and Hereford High School Principal Cuca Alonzo. We're here to help break down what this new legislation means, how it will impact the students and our families, and what you can expect as we move into this new school year. So let's just do a brief overview of what this new cell phone law is and what it means for our school district.
House Bill 1481 bans the use of all electronic devices that are owned by students. So cell phones, laptops, books, iPads, smartwatches, all the above, earpods, all those things are banned now in classrooms by state law.
So I think the end goal is to, it aims to reduce distractions, improve learning, more focused school environment.
So Cuca, with you being in the schools all the time, do you feel like this is going to be an issue with this coming year?
I think we're going to have an adjustment period, but I think at the end, the goal will be just more focused, more time focused on instruction in the classrooms.
So why do y'all feel like this was a necessary law that the government had to put into place? I mean, Cuca kind of mentioned just now about how we're hoping it'll reduce, distractions in the classroom, but, this is pretty serious and they're really being strict about it. So why do you feel like that need is there?
For me, what I see is we see a lot of online bullying. A lot of the issues that we see at this school don't necessarily start in the building. They start outside of the building, and a lot of it is on the phones, and it goes into the high school. And I think just a lot of the social disconnection. So we see a lot of the students aren't able to have conversations with each other because they're so used to just texting and communicating on the phone, Snapchat, text messages, things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
That interaction between humans is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Even parents interact through the phone or through Facebook or something like that rather than coming to the school and getting actively involved.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the time, yeah, I can agree with that. A lot of the time, we're not really sure that there's an issue until we see it on Facebook. Right. So we hope that improves the communication or face-to-face communication between the schools and our families in the community.
Right. And I've noticed, whenever I go into the high schools or even some other campuses, you can walk down the halls and the kids are just staring down the whole time, just on their phones. And so hopefully that'll, kind of get rid of that and allow them to kind of conversate with their friends or look up and see what's happening around them every once in a while.
Yes, ma'am. You are right. During passing periods, a lot of the kids always have a lot of their AirPods, headphones on, and you're right. I mean, they're just zoomed in listening to their music or whatever it is and just going, class to class and not communicating with each other in the halls.
I'd be interested to see the screen time on some of these students, how much they're actually on their phone every day. But
I am excited to hear just conversations in the hallway. I think that's going to be different than what we're used to hearing in the halls.
Yes, for sure. So when will this new law actually go into effect?
First day of school. It's already signed by the governor. It's already in effect.
So starting August 13th for the 2025-2026 school year, there will no longer be phones allowed on our campuses for students.
Electronic devices. So anything I can already see them trying to get away with it, but they have added everything, even Nintendo Switch tablets, gaming, any kind of gaming tablets, AirPods, Apple Watches, which that's going to be an adjustment too. But are there any exceptions to this ban that we know of? The only exception would be if a medical doctor writes a note that states, for this medical reason, this student needs to have this monitoring device to monitor their health and to alert authorities. Mm-hmm. The other exception would be an IEP for a special needs student.
So you have to bring those to the campus principal, or who will be deciding who gets those exceptions?
Well, the art committee will decide for the special needs students,
mm-hmm.
but the medical doctor would have to decide for the other students, and that would have to be turned in to the office.
I guess an example that just pops into my mind is a student who's monitoring their glucose levels.
Yes.
A lot of the time they use their cell phones in order to monitor that. So I could see that being an exception once we get that documented and it's in the student's IEP.
Okay. Well, that's good for our families to know. So what do you anticipate the impact will be on the student learning and classroom management as we go forward?
One, to me, is fewer distractions. Going into the classrooms, I just hear a lot of the teachers all the time, I told you to put that phone up, put up your phone. So we're hoping to, we are going to reduce that immediately. So I just see a lot of the academic impact that's going to have on our campus. So I'm looking forward to that.
So I know there's been a lot of questions that have popped up, not necessarily in our district, but just on the Facebook chatter that I've seen as this has come out, that, what if a lot of our students use their phones for learning and things like that? That's always a constant argument that I just keep seeing in all those comments.
Well, in our district, that's not an issue because we have one-to-one computer. Whether it's a Chromebook or a laptop or whatever, we have one-to-one access in the classroom, and most of them take them home for their learning. So that's not an issue for us.
I think that's a good counter argument if anything comes up in our district.
Yes, we have a lot of, I'm trying to think of the websites right now that they kind of use, but I can't think of one off the mind, but just like interactive games online. I do see a lot of our teachers utilizing that in the classroom, but they can log on the Chromebook, or not that they can, they do log on in the Chromebook in the classroom and use that. I don't really see cell phones being used for instructional purposes in the classroom. Majority or everything is basically can be done in the Chromebook. It's accessible to our students.
Some of us were part of education when that was the case. You'd have, teachers would have computers, but the district couldn't afford to have one-to-one access. And so we would tell kids, get your cell phone out, Google this website, and give me an answer. And so, but we don't need to do that anymore because we have
one-on-one
devices available.
I remember when I was in high school, we had laptops as well, but there was no phone use at all. Everything was done online. And so kind of going back to that, I think it'll be a good thing because, like you said, there'll be a lot more kids paying attention, hopefully, in their classes. They'll know what's going on, and then there'll be a lot less just all the side drama that comes along with phones.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, and the downtime too, because if you're having to, write down the website or give them the website, and this phone won't get there and that phone won't get there, there's always those glitches, and those should be gone too.
There's also kind of a side note too, but I bet technology is kind of excited because I know so many phones are always being logged into our Wi-Fi, which makes it a whole lot slower on all the campuses, and they're constantly going in and dropping those. So hopefully that'll kind of change that too and help our Wi-Fi speeds kind of get up to par. So with this big change in our district, how are we going to implement this new process? Are there rules that the students will have to follow, where they have to leave their phone in their backpacks or at the office? Let's kind of talk about that for a second.
Well, there's two choices. Basically, one choice is you can't bring anything to school. If you do, we'll take it. The other choice is we allow you to bring it, but it has to be put away out of sight and not on. And right now, we haven't made that determination. I think we're leaning toward allowing them to bring the device as long as it's off. But that'll be voted on next month at the July board meeting when we approve the code of conduct. And there will be consequences for those students up to, and I guess the harshest consequence would be we'll take it and you can't get it back till the end of the school year. And people will say, well, you can't do that, it's my phone. You need to check with the district attorney. Yes, we can. It is the state law, and it violates the state law. And just like speeding, there'll be consequences associated with it.
Yes, and I think just for us, it's just clearly communicating what those expectations are for the district and how that's going to be implemented, so that way there's no confusion and our parents and students know what that looks like before the school year starts.
And I think just to start off the bat, this is serious, and this is a state law. This isn't just Hereford ISD's law. This is coming from the governor of Texas, so we have to follow what they want. And so, this is serious. We can get in trouble, I believe, right, if we're not following what we're supposed to be doing. And so we just have to make sure everybody's doing the right thing from the top down.
Yes, ma'am.
So I've seen a lot of comments too about, are we going to make our teachers keep their phones off as well? Do you want to talk about that?
Well, the ideal situation is that teachers never have their phones out because they should be instructing and monitoring in the classroom. And if they're doing that and there's engagement going on, you don't need your phone. So, yes, we are going to encourage our teachers to put their phones away, just like the students are.
And I think that's something that we've been doing, like you said,
our teachers, I don't really see them too much having their phones out. But just to add it in to, just a reminder to this whole process as we're bringing in this new law, I think is just good to have.
I think the problem is most of us are used to using our phone to do more things than just talk.
Yes.
We answer emails, we work on documents. There's a lot of things that we do, and that's going to be an adjustment for teachers for sure. But it's something that I think there's, Ms. Vollmer likes to always say fair and consistent. That makes it fair and consistent in the classroom and between the kids and all of that. So we have to be fair and consistent. We have to also monitor it and make sure we're applying it to every student equally and every teacher equally.
Right.
And consequences will be for teachers as well as students who violate the policies.
Definitely.
I agree with that.
And I learned today that we can fine anymore, right?
They took the ability for us to fine, but we can still confiscate and not return.
So that's going to be our biggest consequence. Just you won't get your phone back, and I'm pretty sure your parents won't like that.
No, I know if my kids got their phone taken out, Mom, I would not be very happy.
It'll be a graduated thing. The third or fourth time somebody does that, we may take it and tell them they can't bring it back. If they bring it back again, then we may just take it and keep it.
Right. But again, I think before we get to that point, we hope that we are able to communicate, if this is the expectation, this is what will happen the first time, second time. And I don't want everybody just to hear your phone will be confiscated forever.
Right.
No, this is the rule. This is the state law. This is the matrix of what those consequences look like. And ultimately, we don't want to get here, but this is what could happen at the very end, and if we don't follow those rules.
Very good point.
That is a good point. So do y'all feel like this is going to be a good change for our district?
I think it will. Again, I just go back to just that lack of social interaction with our students. I see a lot of increased anxiety in the students at school. Back to Dr. Carter's point earlier, students don't know how to communicate with one another, just the distractions in the classroom. I think ultimately our goal, we went to a training last week in Dallas, and just some of the data that they provided us, I think it's going to be, again, I think it's going to be a struggle initially, but we're going to see some good results.
And I agree completely. I think, anytime you can take away a distraction out of a classroom or a school system, that's a positive. And
Yes.
It's going to lead towards student learning. And I think that's the ultimate goal, increase student learning in the classroom.
For sure. They can be on their phones when they go home. They have all evening to do that, play on their
Yes.
games. But while you're at school, learning needs to be happening. And I've seen a lot of, just back and forth over this topic, just on Facebook alone and on what people's opinions are. But my favorite comment I think that I've seen is good luck to our teachers. So how is the administrators going to support our teachers in enforcing this?
Again, I think it goes just back to the communication, everything that we can do beforehand to make sure that everyone's on the same page. This is the expectations moving forward, so that way our community is aware, reassuring our parents that their students are safe whenever they drop them at the school. Our students, I saw a couple of comments too that said, well, what if my student has an emergency or whatever that is? It's just making sure that our students are aware. There's real phones in the office that, you can dial the buttons and you can call your parents, and those phones are always available to our students. I really don't think our students know that, because why do they have to? They have, their phones easily accessible to them. So just trying to reduce a lot of that unknown beforehand, I think we can help support our teachers. And of course, if we see it in the classrooms, is that we have that fair and consistent consequence to all of our students and our teachers, and try to support them as much as we know. And again, we know it's going to be a struggle initially, but just trying to be prepared as much as we can.
Well, and kind of going back to a point that you made just then about, I've seen a lot of comments as well, is what if there's an emergency, or I want my student to have their phone if something happens. But I think that's where our district comes in, where they can have them in their possession as long as they're turned off and out of sight and out of mind.
Yes.
And so we're not here to, completely cut off all communication. We have phones all over our campuses that can reach our parents or anyone that we need to, like, within seconds. But we also are kind of adding that extra little bit to make sure that if anything does happen, that we have communication going all over the place. So.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I think that comment has more to do with a lack of education than it does anything. And I would encourage parents who are listening to this to do some research on if we're in a lockdown situation, if we're in an active shooter situation, do we really need a group of people outside trying to get in? Do we need people from the inside texting out, or does that slow the process? And the answer is yes, it slows the process. And it also makes it more dangerous because the kids are taught what to do. And if they're too busy looking for a phone or too busy trying to communicate outside, then that just slows the process down. And I think it's, the research backs that to the hilt. I mean, go look at Uvalde, go look at Santa Fe, go look at, just the ones we've had in Texas, the outside and inside communication, parents being arrested and handcuffed trying to get into the school. I understand it, but on the other side of it, we train, we have guardians, we have people in place to take the brunt of that and to make sure those things are taken care of quickly.
We want to reassure parents that if there is an emergency, the school will communicate as quickly as we can to our families. And our ultimate goal is to always keep our students safe.
Definitely. And I mean, we have, ThrillShare now. We're soon going to launch the app where you get alerts straight to your phone immediately. And so, all of that, we're here to communicate. This isn't cutting off communication with our families. This is actually helping to increase it just a little bit more and increase positive communication just throughout the district.
And the opposite of that works too. If you call the school and say you need your child, we'll make sure your child's in the office.
Yes.
That's not a problem.
Yes.
No need to communicate directly with your student anymore.
Well, and this is how it used to be. So we know that it works. We know that it can work. And
so I'm going to be aging myself, but whenever I went to high school, I remember in junior high, I remember one student had a phone, one student. And cell phones were not that big of a thing whenever I was in school, maybe on in later years, junior, senior year, but we made it and it's okay. We had a great time. We still had very, very good memories during that time.
I had a flip phone when I was in high school, so I couldn't even do anything on
it. And what did we have? MySpace maybe back in the day?
Yeah.
We didn't have even Facebook, Snapchat, so you're going to be okay. It'll be okay. But right now, before I forget, my train of thought there was it's a good time for our families to make sure that you're connected on ThrillShare. I'm not saying anybody has blocked the school phone number, but it's a good time for you to go back and make sure that our phone number is not blocked, so that way you're getting the ThrillShare messages whenever emergencies go out.
Yes.
And the Apogee app when we activate that.
Yes. So I'll talk about the app here just for a second. We have an app. We just haven't really pushed it out too much, but we are soon going to do like a relaunch type thing. And so this app will, any notifications that you get from your school, your campus, or the district that would normally come through like a text or a phone call can go straight to the app, as well as we're integrating Rooms, which is going to be a direct communication from your teacher or your campus straight to the parent. And so that'll be good. It'll be all housed in one spot. That way, there's back and forth communication if need to. And our parents, even if you did block the phone number, we won't hold it against you, but you can still get all the notifications that we send out throughout the school year. So it'll be a good form of communication, but just between the parents, district, campus, just all the way around. So we're looking forward to that. And more information will be posted about that really soon. We're doing a bunch of data stuff right now. And it's linked to Skyward. So make sure that your information is up to date in Skyward, because if it's not, then we have no way of
so
really
again, make sure that your phones are updated, phone numbers are updated, that they're the correct phone numbers. Sometimes whenever you're registering the student, a number can easily be swapped. So it's a good time to go back and just make sure that information is correct.
Yes, and it pulls the information on a daily. So if you I got a new phone number, just make sure you change it in Skyward, and it'll be all fine.
Well, the other thing is it's one app from pre-K to 12, not 3 or 4 different apps.
Yes.
As I've heard parents talk about, well, on this school, I'd communicate with this app. On that school, it's another app. Now it'll all be one app.
Yes, it'll be all in one spot. So now you won't have a whole, phone page just full of the 10 different apps and trying to find the announcement from your child's teacher or something.
Yeah, so that'll help streamline just the communication piece. And even at that, just even subscribing to our Facebook page, to your campus Facebook page or the district Facebook page. I do think that anytime that an emergency has happened, the district is really quick to send out a message on the app, on ThrillShare. And they're also really good at communicating that message on our Facebook media pages. So in case you don't receive that message, then you can always look on the websites and it's there. You'll get updated information.
For sure. We're trying to get like real time with all that information, because I know our biggest complaint from parents and stuff is, well, we need to know what's going on. Yeah. So we've definitely upped that this year and have made sure that everybody knows what's going on. Just kind of ease those worries and stuff like that. So yeah. So I think that's a pretty good overview of what's coming up for our school district. We will have a little bit more information on how this is going to be implemented and what the exact steps are going to be as the board approves the code of conduct this next month and kind of reviews some of this as we go forward. But
and those consequences will be in that code.
Yes. So we'll have all those up to date, and we'll probably put something else out on Facebook as well, because I know we got a lot of views, at least on that post. So, and it was shared a lot within our district. So I think people are at least seeing it.
Yes, and I would like to say, I know some of the comments, some of them were a little bit harsh, but I do like to go read through the comments and just see what our community is thinking on how we can make adjustments to make sure that we're addressing our family concerns, our student concerns, what they're thinking. Again, just so that way we can make sure that we're communicating what we need to, and just to make sure everyone's reassured that their students will be safe at school, and if they need to get a hold of your parent, your student, you're able to do so.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us today. We'll just have more information out there about this new cell phone ban as we go forward and learn new information ourselves. But remember, you can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts or watch us on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you next week. Thank you.